It's the new thing.
Oh, that's the new thing, man. No, just kidding.
This is the Fantasy Roadshow.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the Fantasy Roadshow. We are your hosts. We are here. We are live, right, Mike?
We are actually live.
We are live. Yes,
Yeah,
it is our Sunday night stream.
Yep.
Yes, you can find me on Twitter at fantasy_trucker. You can find Culls on Twitter, or is he over there? I'm not sure. Culls at Culls_sports. Follow the show at Fantasy Roadshow. Check us out on the Substack, thefantasyroadshow.substack.com. We are back again after week 2. Week 2 is in the books.
Yeah.
Oh man, this was
in the books,
Sunday.
but the 12 slate in the books. Sunday Night Football is on right now. Waddle almost house one.
I saw that. I need a big game from Waddle here tonight, so to speak, and I'm watching this one closely. So we're glad you're all watching with us, and we're here answering all questions you may have. Feel free to chime in. Any questions about what happened, if you want to complain or you want to brag and boast about your lineup, if you're whooping some ass, whatever it may be, come and join us. And other than that, Mike, let's if we don't have any questions or anything, let's hop into the noon 12 o'clock slate
reactions. Talk reactions. We're gonna live look at our underdog exposure, talk through that. There goes the Dolphins up 10-0. Speaking of Waddle having a big game, I maxed out his player prop of over 4.5 receptions. I believe he has 3 right now, so need a couple more. Thought process behind that was Belichick likes to drop a game plan that takes away the number one threat, being Tyreek Hill. So I like that number just on any game with Waddle, but knowing that Belichick draws up that type of defensive game plan, I thought the script favored him a little bit more. It was plus 102 as well. So,
no, that's definitely a good call. I would have taken that bet as well if I would have saw it, but I wasn't paying attention prior to game time.
No, you were watching the Bears,
dealing with that Bears loss.
Yeah, let's start. Let's start there.
Okay, so you want to start there? Let's start
there. So, Bears Bucks. Let's talk about first, like going into the game. I for sure thought Bears needed to bounce back just to show
100%.
Confidence in the organization and, current personnel, whatever. Also thought that Buccaneers, Rashad White, Godwin, Mike Evans, everyone was going to have a big game because of the Bears defense, right? So that happened. Evans went off for 6 receptions, 171 yards, and a touchdown. Rashad White looked good, 17 carries, 73 yards, a touchdown. I don't have the box score pulled up. Let me pull it up. I'm sure he had a couple receptions.
5 for 30. 5 for 30 on 5 targets.
Yeah. So, 5 receptions, PPR, like outstanding, right?
100%. Yeah, he did look good. I was shocked when I saw Chase Edmonds run the ball. I was like, whoa, Chase Edmonds is out there getting some action, huh?
Yeah, I saw he had a 14-yard carry too. I was like,
I'm like, who is that? He got up and turned around. Chase Edmonds.
Don't tell me we have to talk about Chase Edmonds.
Hey, here we go. Hold on one second. Let's bring cue the Shane O'Mac intro music.
Cute. Is he?
Yeah, where's it? Yeah, where are we at? Hold on one second. Oh, there we go. Shane O'Mac. Welcome, man. How you doing?
Good. You got to look good. You feel good. You feel good. You play good. You play good. They pay you good.
He's got the Deion Sanders hat, shades look, loving it. How good are the Cowboys? They looked outstanding again.
Today was nice. Today was nice.
Your boy Deuce Vaughn. I mean,
he got 6 touches.
Dude,
yeah, how about
good.
it?
Yeah, all right. I can't see with this.
I was wondering how long you were going to do that for.
That drive where they kind of showcased him a little bit. I mean, he looked good. He brought that like spark plug into the offense. I mean, that's what you want out of a guy like him, right? What do you think about that?
Oh yeah, for sure. I don't know, like Ryan, I don't know if you got this with your Bears fans, but we've got like our group, Cowboys group text. And like we're the whole time, like last week, this week, like, where's Deuce? You got to get Deuce involved some, And I said, without Cooks, I thought maybe we would see him a little bit today just to give him a little bit of that playmaking ability.
Oh yeah.
And Tolbert what's it? Tolbert, right? Is that
Jalen Tolbert?
Yeah, Tolbert was. I mean, he had a couple first downs. He was involved. That's very promising to see, right? Like, the way that I look at Gallup is, I feel like he had his time to show that he's a wide receiver too. He's really not. So stepping into that role with Cooks out, I wouldn't be too confident as a Cowboys fan or as Dak if I saw him out on the field there. So involving Tolbert, involving Deuce, seeing that happen and work is a very good sign.
Yeah. I was really impressed with what we saw from CD Lamb too.
Dude,
CD had a huge game. Mike was high on him all draft season for a reason, and like I was just 13 targets, 11 receptions, 143 yards, just a complete game of domination.
Yeah. I think Cole, like one time you had said you were going to put him ahead of Diggs in your rankings, like
wide receiver 3.
Yeah.
Wide receiver 3, and the only reason I put Diggs ahead in best ball is because of that stack with Allen, which you saw today, right? Like Allen he's awesome. I mean, he's going to have games, 38 points. Could have been a lot more. He's going to have games where you just can't stop that offense. And they wanted to establish the running game. You saw Latavius Murray, you saw Damian Harris. There's games where Allen's going to get all of those touchdowns,
Yeah.
So this was the perfect week of seeing Andrews. I know we didn't see him like fully unleashed, but seeing why I like to go Andrews and Allen there in those second, third rounds is because safe production, anyways. I thought the Cowboys looked great. You saw Micah try to get that scoop and score.
Oh, yeah. We were all screaming on the group text on that one. They're like, he didn't touch him. He didn't touch him.
Yeah. Just a domination game too with the Cowboys defense. Zach Wilson throwing 3 picks. Like, rough start. I was telling Mike when we were talking about the slate, just a rough game for Zach Wilson to come in and start the first week after the Aaron Rodgers injury. And like, it kind of just played out exactly how we thought. Garrett Wilson, big play. What was that? A 68-yard touchdown.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. That's huge for Wilson owners, right? Like Ryan and I have him. We have him in a league. We have him as like 11th round keeper. Super excited about that. Still as an 11th round keeper where he currently is value wise, like as our wide receiver 3. Happy to have him in there, but high expectations for a guy like that. So to have a 68-yard touchdown, you feel good, right? Like without that play, you have to start him. But if you get 4 catches, 40 yards, it's Garrett Wilson. You have to start him, but
Yeah. I think the last 2 weeks, he only had 2 catches today, but the last 2 weeks showed he's that guy though, that all it takes is one play, right?
Yeah.
And you probably
he's dangerous.
Yeah. I don't know if this morning you were getting any Garrett Wilson start sit questions when you were on with Keith, but you start guys like that.
You have to. Yeah. If you employ draft capital like that, you start them. Like I always say to Ryan, like Ryan likes to, for better, he likes to like play matchups and like think about it. I don't. I just think you don't get cute more times than not. It's the right decision. It's not always the right decision, right? Like, I'm trying to think of a good example this week. I will when I get off the mic, but like you don't get cute because you drafted him for a reason at the end of the first, beginning of the second. Obviously the Rodgers news is just horrible and like that changes his ceiling. But day like today, I mean, he just looks so good. He caught that ball and was gone. Like, he was gone too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's what I mean. Like it gives people confidence moving forward, starting him. Like, hey, like all he needs is one play. That's it.
Yeah.
And he can get you enough points to make him productive on the week. So like,
so for me, it's not only confidence starting him. It's also like, you need that play to justify why you started him, right? Like you feel like, all right, that's the number one that I drafted. Hopefully as the season goes on, as Rodgers gets healthier, he can be on the sidelines and kind of like share with Zach his vision of what he sees on the field, because I think that would go a long way. But yeah, I mean, his ceiling's capped. Dalvin Cook was non-existent. They're going to rely on the defense to step up and win,
Yeah. And, Tony Pollard, he savaged his day on the receiving side, but rushing, they really held him in check.
Yeah. 25 carries for under 80 yards. I was a little shocked about that, but
he looks so good though. If I'm a Pollard owner watching that game, I mean, I'm okay with that, right? Like he looks good running the ball. Anytime he has space, he can make that play, right? Whereas like Madison against the Eagles defense, like he was getting nothing. So it's not all on Madison, but he wasn't looking like he was going to do much regardless, right?
Yeah. And you got to be encouraged. I mean, 32 touches if you're a Pollard owner, that's a pretty good high usage that many people didn't think he would get that many touches a game.
Yeah, you saw Dowdle get a couple carries there in the goal line. Didn't succeed, but like had he punched it in from the 4 and looked really good doing it, maybe as a Pollard owner, you're like, what's happening? So we were talking Bills earlier. I mean, Latavius Murray is the goal line back. He looked outstanding. He looks young. He looks fresh. That is like what they were hoping Harris to be. That seems like it's Latavius's role, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Harris had more carries and he had a goal line touchdown as well. But I do see what you're saying. The majority of the goal line carries did go to Murray, and he just seems like going forward.
Yeah, watching that. So I had a very healthy wager on the Bills money line. Had them in my survivor, so I was watching that game, and it was 3rd and short, just any short yardage situation. It was Murray in there, and he just looks good. He's got that pop. Like he, not looking at box scores, looking at the football game, it was a clear shot of Murray's role. So, I mean, something to consider, but James Cook's going to be a high producing running back, especially compared to ADP. Regardless, he's involved in the passing game. I mean, the Bills offense looks good. I was telling Ryan earlier, we have Gabe Davis in a couple leagues. If there's a game where you think the Bills are going to score points, you start Bills player, right? Like,
hey, so we got our first question from Doug Reed. He says, I got lucky and picked up Josh Reynolds from Detroit, got 23.6 PPR points today. What do you guys think going forward?
Yeah. So Doug, I want to comment on that first because I had the same thought this week. Marvin Jones was someone that I looked at after that Thursday night game where I was like, they threw him some balls. Had he catched them, he would have had a nice day. And I never really looked to Reynolds, which is my fault. I don't know. We probably should have been on that because he has produced in the past on like spot starts like this, but there is someone in the Lions offense who's going to produce in the wide receiver room, right? Like we saw it today with Reynolds. I mean, secondaries are going to focus on Amon-Ra, and then someone's going to be open. I mean, so can you start him? I don't know. What do you guys think? That's tough.
I mean, I would consider him in a flex spot pretty much on a weekly basis right now, just in consideration based on other matchups and stuff. Definitely not riding my bench the rest of the way from what we saw week 1 and week 2. I mean, he was able to get in the end zone 2 weeks in a row. Highly productive. I think he's definitely worth consideration moving forward.
Yeah, so I mean, like we were on Seahawks Lions high scoring game. That was a game that we were all over. So that's one of those scenarios where like I was looking for that Lions receiver. It was clearly Reynolds. Do I have the balls to start him over a Pickens in a tough matchup, in a McLaurin? You know what I mean? Like McLaurin in a tough matchup. Sometimes you have, like, if you need that big swing, you take it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention. If you need a high high ceiling play for the week, definitely I would try to get cute, as Mike likes to say.
Yeah, get cute. So you have 4 weeks there until Jameson, right? Jameson Williams has a 6-game suspension.
Yeah.
I mean, Shane, what do you think? Does he step in and produce right away? The Lions offense is something where you want ownership in, but where do you find it with consistency? We have to figure that out,
So I think, a couple of things. You could look at it as, you could obviously try to sell high off of this game. And he had a decent week 1 game. I think he went for 12 or 13 PPR points. But he does have some value for the next, I would say, 5 weeks even, because I don't know. Jameson Williams, how much of a snap count is going to get in his first game back? I don't know. So next 4 or 5 games, he's going to be the number 2 receiver, maybe the number 2 targeted guy, depending on Laporta. I think we had like 2 times in that game today where St. Brown left for little short periods of time with
which he always does.
Up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he gets a little bit more peppered targets there. I was just looking. He's got Falcons, Packers, and Panthers for his next 3.
Yeah. Bucks at Ravens, that's tough, and then Raiders, and then you got that week 9 bye. I'd be confident having him on my bench and then potentially flexing him in the first 8 weeks. That's one of those situations where Williams comes back 7-8, and then you have a bye. Is Williams going to produce in those 2 weeks before the bye? Like, especially if the Lions are in close games or winning.
And I'd feel comfortable next week. I mean, starting him against the Falcons. Packers had 3 receiving touchdowns from their receivers today. So, I mean, that could be he could still produce some double-digit PPR numbers this next week.
Yeah, that's a good segue. Let's talk about that, Ryan. Packers, Falcons, what did you see there? Falcons, dominated the fourth quarter.
Bijan Robinson's awesome. He's so good at football, and like being able to watch him and do some of the stuff that he did on the field, man, it's so fun to watch Bijan Robinson run the ball. But other than that, I mean, Jordan Love, another game where he had not as many yards passing, but still had 3 touchdowns. So, I mean, the Packers played well. I thought they were going to end up pulling the game out, but the Falcons ended up winning. Jaden Reed looked really good out there. Got a couple touchdowns. I saw the first one that he had. I was getting so wild at the bar for that one. That was a great play. And it looked weird in my Bears gear getting wild for a Packers touchdown, but that was a fun play. And yeah, man, I mean, I picked the Falcons to win this game, and I really thought, Desmond Ridder, man, I don't know. I don't know what to think about Desmond Ridder moving forward. He hasn't shown enough in the first 2 weeks. What do you guys think about that game?
So was that a stretch or was that a screen where Bijan looked like he was contained at the line of scrimmage and then stuttered cut?
That was a stretch, I believe.
Stretch run, yeah.
Stretch run was incredible. That's what you're talking about when you say Bijan is, next level talent. I mean, that was
he's so good.
Yeah, that was an outstanding play. I mean, and then you're talking about Love. I think what he's doing in moments that matter, that was his numbers weren't great against the Bears, but on third down and in the red zone, his numbers were fantastic. So, if he continues to do that, I think he's a good quarterback. He's only going to get better. For Jaden Reed to establish that kind of production and chemistry with Christian Watson out is extremely important because, Love's going to continue to look his way when Christian Watson's back. So Falcons winning a close game. That's what I had. I was hoping for them to cover the 3.5. I had them, or actually -1. I had a -1 in my super contest. So pushed that, but yeah, I mean,
how about Drake London coming alive, huh?
He had to. Ritter's just not a good. He doesn't seem like he's a very good passing quarterback, so that's going to be an issue for Pitts in London. When we talk about employing draft capital on guys and having confidence starting them, those are two tricky players moving forward. I don't know. What do you think, Shane?
Yeah, he saved it. He did not look good throwing the ball at all. He made some plays rushing the ball. I think he had 10 rushes.
Yeah, 10 for 39 and a touchdown.
Yeah, and they weren't
Ridder.
Yeah, Ridder. And they weren't all scrambles either. They were some design RPOs where he kept in and ran. I'm like you that I had Bijan in a lot of leagues. I was targeting him. It's funny. It's hard not to be so selfish. You get so frustrated when they would put in Algier, near the goal line or in different packages. But I mean, it's wise how they're using him, really. Trying to use him.
I liked that if I saw when Algier was in the backfield, you still saw Bijan split out wide. You find a way to keep Bijan on the field because he's that type of player. So, I mean, and then also Bijan almost 20 carries. So that was awesome to see. I know the first game it was more so like a 50-50 split, but you see that difference kind of expanding now,
Hey, real quick, I got to ask this. Remember from our show, Ryan, did you start Jordan Love over Justin Fields?
I did not. I did not, and I wish I did.
Dude, I mean, we don't need to go there. We will eventually go there, but wow. Yeah, so Bijan, what I was saying that entire time was game script, right? If the Falcons are in a game and need to win a football game, you have to include Bijan late in the fourth on key drives if you're going to win come back 13 points in the fourth quarter and win, right? So that's what we saw there. He's a playmaker, man. On that game-winning drive, I think he had a 20-yard, I don't know if it was a run or a catch. I think it was a catch. 21-yard catch, put him in field goal position. You need him on the field. So, yeah, absolutely. Do we want to talk Bears? Gosh.
Listen, I'll say this, okay? We don't have to really dive in too much into the game, but it was such a hot and cold game for me. There was one drive
for the opening of the game.
Yeah. Well, not even just that. Even in the middle of the game, there was one drive where they went down the field. It was like a 95-yard drive.
Yeah,
and
6 for 6, 92 yards. You texted me.
6 for 6, 92 yards. I was amped up. I was texting Mike, and I was like, dude, that's what we need to see, But it was so far and few in between where they could put these drives together. And then towards the end of the game, they just are consistently running screenplays like over and over and over again. And then Fields ends up throwing a pick six late just to close out the game. And it was just deflating again, it's rough to see. And I'm you can't win at home against the Packers week 1. You can't win in Tampa week 2. Like I'm afraid this season's just going to fall apart for Chicago rather quickly.
Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad. You got to put some of it on Fields. He did not look good. We'll go into it a little bit further this week. I don't want to sit here and have a huge segment on a depressing Bears.
Keep the energy high.
Yeah.
I mean, and of all people that caught the touchdown, for that team,
Claypool,
the guy that was getting dogged that maybe was going to be made inactive.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense.
That first drive, I mean, I think DJ Moore is getting involved, has 2 catches, has a big one. Fields rushes it in. You're like, all right, this is the Bears we signed up for this year, and then they just disappear. But so what's going on with Joe Burrow? Talking about disappearing,
dude. What the hell?
He seemed to steam on a little bit late. Is this calf something that we need to worry about? Why would they rush him back if he's not healthy? I don't know what to think there.
Yeah, it sounds like he did re-aggravate it, and it's bothering him, which I don't know. I didn't see, if it was on a scramble where he did it or where, but that is a little concerning.
Yeah, did you guys see him limping towards at the end of the game? And I was just like, what the hell is going on? But yeah, I don't know. Do you guys recall last season? I heard someone say that, the Bengals just kind of start slow. And the first couple games last year, they started slow as well. And then they just finally groove and kick off. Is that, Shane, do you remember that correctly? I can't.
Yeah. So the last 2 years, so 2 years ago, when he was coming off the knee injury, and he didn't play in the preseason, he started off slow the first 2 weeks. And then last year, he was coming off of the appendectomy surgery. And same thing, started off slow. Week 2 was against the Cowboys. I think he only threw 1 touchdown and like 180 yards, and they lost. And they started 0-2 last year also.
Yeah. So then, maybe it's just something that they do, start slow. But yeah, man, it was the first half. It was rough. I texted Mike. I'm like, dude, Burrow's got 30 something yards passing in the first half. Like what are we doing here? It was just
not the two teams to start off slow against either, right? Like,
oh my God, no.
I'm drinking it.
But I mean, even so, they almost won that game, Like that was still a winnable game for them, even with them not performing. So as soon as they really kick it into high gear, I'm sure they're going to be flying through these teams. But
so LA at home next week, at Titans, at Cardinals,
LA
home against Seahawks. So those are your next 4.
Chargers or Rams?
LA Rams.
Okay.
So those are 4 games that you should win, right? So if you're 4-2 going to San Francisco, playing the 49ers and then Bills at home, you need to probably be 4-2 and playing good football at that point. So that's something to definitely keep an eye on.
Yeah. And I tell you what, as a guy who's got Joe Mixon in a couple of leagues, I do not feel good about that at all. I mean, he looks like he's stuck in mud. It's Alexander Madison 2.0. It doesn't look good.
Yeah, and his efficiency went down last year too. Like he just, from what we saw from last year. So yeah, maybe that's carrying over into this season. They need to get Chase Brown a little bit more action, give him the ball a few more times. Give him some opportunities, see what he does with it.
Well, it looked like Travion Henderson, right? Is that his name?
Travion
Williams.
Is he 32? I saw they were getting him 32
Yeah.
involved a little bit.
So Chris Evans was out for the game, and so Travion became number 2 guy.
Okay. Yeah, was there anything of note there? I didn't honestly. I saw him run the ball or maybe catch a screen once.
Yeah, he had 2 receptions.
And he looks quicker and faster. I just fell into the trap of, Mixon's going to be such a high volume play on a good offense. He's going to have those opportunities, and they just haven't materialized yet.
No.
Yeah, neither has the team. I saw you just took a sip out of a frosty mug. That made me want to crack a beer as well. I'm gonna grab one real quick.
So you know when I'm drinking here. So when I am a fan, I am a fan. This is Troy Aikman's 8 beer.
8 beer?
Troy Aikman's beer?
Troy Aikman's beer. Yeah, it's called 8.
Oh wow! I didn't know.
Made and distributed throughout Texas.
Oh wow!
Oh wow! I got a Carbach Love Street. I'm gonna go grab one.
Okay.
Talk Chargers Titans while I'm gone.
Okay.
Yeah, Chargers Titans. Man, the Titans are just able to win these games that people just don't expect them to win. What is going on with the Titans? They almost won last week against the Saints. They're able to win this week against the Chargers. Now the Chargers fall 0-2. What is happening? What's going on, dude? Tannehill in the first half looked garbage, complete garbage.
Yes, you know what I was thinking the whole first half? I thought, oh my God, we're going to see Malik Willis. After last week and after the comments, because the comments from the coach all week was, he kind of referenced he won't be afraid to go to somebody else. And the way Tannehill looked, it was so bad. But
yeah, that was.
See what he ended up
rough.
with. So Ryan and I were in a super flex dynasty league. Have I think Burrow as our starting quarterback, and then super flex. We just there's so many good players that we kept drafting. We have great depth, but ended up with Garoppolo and Tannehill as our super flex quarterbacks. Texted Ryan, said Tannehill better matchup over Garoppolo. Garoppolo comes out and throws a touchdown to Devontae, and Tannehill, I forget what happens, but he just looks bad.
Yeah.
Ryan calls me, was like, wish we didn't make that flip. And I was on the start sit and was just doing a bunch of things this morning and didn't I accidentally never made the switch.
So he stuck with Garoppolo.
I was lucky we're actually in on Garoppolo. And then it looks like Tannehill figured it out. 20 of 24, 246 yards, touchdown. I saw you ran one in, one carry, 12 yards, and a touchdown. So without looking at Garoppolo, I imagine he had a better day, right?
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah, I think he did. Now, if you're looking at that box score, Tannehill did not play well, but 20 for 24, 246 yards and a touchdown. If I'm just looking at that and I didn't see the game, I'm thinking, oh, wow, Tannehill did pretty good. You get Treylon Burks involved, and no, that offense could hardly get the ball moving. Just terrible sacks. I did not think that watching the first half, I'm like, dude, there's no way Titans are going to win this game. And sure enough, they find a way.
Muck it up. Yeah. So that's kind of what I thought this Patriots-Dolphins game was going to be like. It seems like the Dolphins are playing well. When teams start 2-0, I don't know the percentage of them to make the playoffs, but it's something, I don't know. I want to say 14% higher, something noteworthy in terms of teams that start 2-0. So you got to feel pretty good if you're, Dolphins division opponent going into New England and out against Belichick. But anyways, so Titans were able to just kind of make that game look gross. And now the Chargers are 0-2, have to figure it out and figure it out quickly. What do you guys think there? I think they go 2-1 Minnesota next week. Let's look.
While you're looking, I had a question for the two of you guys. What do you do if you are a Quentin Johnston owner? Like, are you try to stay patient knowing one of those two receivers probably gets hurt at some point, or are you dropping him for a hot free agent pickup?
Mike, you go ahead.
Yeah, I think that just completely depends on roster build, but keeper leagues too, but I would probably hang tight because that's what you should have been expecting when you drafted him is like, look at the production of Keenan Allen. I mean, he's a superstar right now. What do you have? 2 touchdowns today?
Yeah. 8 for 111 and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. Outstanding day. I think, I saw Williams had a couple of catches, not anywhere near that level, but like, that's the type of offense. They're not even winning games yet, but they put up 34 and 24 in a loss. So you're looking for pieces on a 30-point a week type team. I'm hanging tight and just seeing it play out. I do think Ryan texted me Palmer got involved. I think he had a touchdown that got called back.
It got called back.
That's concerning. There's just so many mouths to feed, but if you believe in his talent, which is why you would have drafted him, it's 2 weeks. Give everything 4 weeks, except
Mike
Cam
Williams
Akers that gets inactive and then put on the trade block. Don't give that 4 weeks. Take him out of your lineup and hopefully I'm so happy. I was extremely aggressive for Kyron Williams. And he looks good and he's producing, but I had a feeling when I saw how many first half I think we were talking on sit start and I was like,
wow,
Kyron Williams is maybe the starting running back.
And I was hesitant to believe that they would just completely, shift gears and be like, yeah, somebody we just gave the ball to 22 times last week. Now all of a sudden you're just a healthy scratch. Coach's decision. You're sitting. Let's put him on. But even
that, those 22 for 29, a lot of those carries were when they had the game under wraps in the second half, and they were just offensive line. Using him to get a yard or two and run clock. So it was concerning, man. I don't know. Stafford looks great. Let's talk about that game. Let's move on. I guess I did want to talk Chargers. Let's talk Chargers real quick.
Yeah, since we're on the subject.
Yeah, at Vikings versus Raiders, and then versus Cowboys, Chiefs after that. So you have 2 games to figure it out. You're 0-2 at Vikings.
They
Raiders.
need those wins.
What do you guys think?
I think they need Eckler healthy. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I was able to grab Joshua Kelly in one league. I grabbed him late. I grabbed him like Saturday night. I was looking at the waiver. And I'm like, Josh Kelly's sitting right here, and Eckler's still not practicing. Like, I'm gonna pick him up. And then I looked in. I'm like, dude, this is a multi-flex spot on my team, so I ended up starting him. Big mistake. I mean, 13 for 39, 1 target, no receptions, like kind of a dud game. And
that's the right move, though. That is the right move. So this is one thing that I want to talk about. Like, that is the right decision. You see Kelly there. You see how Eckler, how high his production is. Kelly steps into that role. Picking him up on your waiver wire and starting him is the right move. Like, he had top 15 upside, surely, but his ceiling or his floor is whatever you currently got out of him, right? Like, so that is something that I want us to focus on, creating short form content as well, because he should not have been on your wire, right? Like, I want everyone in your league to know that because I was pretty sure that Eckler wasn't going to play. I think all of us would have said that. Like, he was injured. If you're the Chargers, like a guy who's 30 years old, you're not going to just stick him in the lineup with a nagging injury. You know what I mean? So, like, I think probability wise, we all probably would have said Kelly had a good shot to start that game. I think
touchdown, Tyreek Hill.
I think, oh God, I think we create more short form content. Like, this is a guy to look at, go get him, because he should not have been there on a sleepy Saturday night for you to go get. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No.
One of the reasons why he was on there, this league limits, for some odd reason, I hate this feature, but they limit how many running backs you can roster. You can only have a total of 5 running backs.
That's the league I drafted for you because I was trying to draft another running back.
yeah, that was one of my old work leagues. These
I
guys
drafted that team for you because I got tapped out. I think I hit wide receiver extremely early, and then was just firing off running backs and got tapped out in the last round or two.
Yeah. So, and I've tried bringing it up to them in years past. I'm like, guys, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
And like, why are we limiting how many running backs you can have on your roster when you don't have any other limits on any other position? Like, so that was one of the reasons why there's always usually some sort of valuable running backs on the waiver, because teams, you can only have so many. So I had to make a tough decision and drop someone that I didn't want to drop earlier because I wasn't sure. I'm not going to drop someone that I know is valuable for someone that could be valuable for 1 week. So as the week progressed, I'm like, dude, nobody's picking this guy up. Let me just scoop him up and play him. So Josh
and the guy you dropped was Nico Collins, who went off for 7 catches, 146 yards and a touchdown. No, I'm kidding.
No. I needed to drop a run. I had to drop a running back. I'm not sure exactly who it was.
Probably A-Chain or Bigsby. I remember I drafted that team for you.
Yeah, I believe so. It's one of those.
So yeah, but anyways, my point being is, like, I want to create more short form video content, because we should, if it's one of the 3 of us that is like, Josh Kelly is a guy that is on your waiver wire that should not be there because there's a good chance he is the starting running back, blah, blah, blah. Your risk is going against a Titans team who has a good rushing defense, whatever.
You guys want to know who I dropped for him?
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
Antonio Gibson.
Oh, well.
That's why, but that was my point. He was my worst running back, and it's like, dude, I know Antonio is valuable. Right now, no. I mean, even as we saw today in today's game with the Commanders, like, he's just not being used as I drafted him to be used. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just drop him, and hopefully I can get a big game out of Josh Kelly. So
we had that conversation this week, and it was recorded. I don't remember what episode, but you mentioned something about Gibson, and I was like, dude, for whatever reason, they are going to continue going the Brian Robinson route. And they are continuing to do so. He's been doing okay, honestly. I saw him have a run or a catch today where I was like, all right, well, that doesn't make our case any better. But yeah, I mean, I saw Gibson had a really nice catch as well. I don't know. Definitely concerning, but
yeah, Brian Robinson, 18 for 87 and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, so I mean, they're gonna literally use them all season, and it's gonna be one of those frustrating Gibson holds where you're like, he's the better running back, but they just don't believe it. Almost like an Akers situation, just not as aggressive.
Yeah.
So yeah, I notice our Sunday Night Football live reactions episode is going to be a lot of conversations, and it's going to be long conversations. So I don't know that we're going to get through every game in a podcast type length. So I don't know what you want to do here, Rye, but I want to talk about the box score real quick in this Dolphins Patriots game.
Yeah.
Just because I do have some action involved on the Dolphins side. Shane, I told Ryan earlier, I have Jalen Waddle over 4.5 receptions.
Okay.
It was plus money. I like that number regardless of the game, but my thought process in placing it was Belichick likes to take away the number one option. that being Tyreek Hill. Waddle could get fed, and he's got 3 receptions for 54 yards. So I feel good. 4 targets.
Yep.
Feel good where I'm at there. I don't know. What have you guys seen in this game? It seems like the Patriots are just outmatched,
Well, they had looked like they were going to score, it was the rookie wide receiver. I forget his name,
Demario Douglas.
Yeah. He had, it looked like he was going to take it down to the 15 or so, and he gets stripped by Chubb behind him. So, who knows what happened on that drive. And then, right before that, I don't know if you saw the play where, Alabama Mac actually threw a great deep ball down the sideline. And I think it was Bourne that had it go off his fingertips. It would have been a touchdown also.
So is this a Patriots team that just doesn't have the talent to execute Belichick's game plan? Like, those 2 plays could change the game if you have the right players in place. Maybe it does. What are we going to see from this Patriots team? I mean, they seem like the defense is really good and could keep them in games, but are the playmakers not there? I mean, Ramondre 6 for 16, Zeke 5 for 13. Devontae Parker has 4 catches tonight. I mean, I just don't.
Well, that Stevenson line, that is really concerning because the Dolphins just got gashed in the running game last week. So that's concerning.
Yeah, I mean, Devontae Parker, not even active last week. I think there was some kind of injury, but who even knows what's going on there? 5 targets, most on the team, 4 catches, 34 yards. I mean, I feel like in order for the Patriots to have any kind of success, they need to find a consistent player to go to, which Hunter Henry, to me, probably is that guy from 2 years ago. I don't know. Ryan, is there anything?
Well, no, this is why I had hesitation about picking up Kendrick Bourne. Like, I need to see consistency from Kendrick Bourne in order to trust him in a lineup and even pick him up on my roster. Like, I feel like he does this every year. Like, he has games with 2 touchdowns and then he'll disappear. So, yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. For the Patriots to be successful, they need consistent production, and they're not seeing it. And they need to be able to get the run game going, man. Zeke and Rashad both are in the same situation right now, and they just, I don't know. It might be a factor that we're
not aware of. Ramondre?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Ramondre Stevenson. But yeah, there may be a factor that we're not aware of,
Yeah. So for me, I thought this game was going to get ugly, almost like the Titans-Chargers game, and Patriots were going to have some success. Maybe they do if, like Shane said, DeMario catches that ball. Maybe Bourne comes down with it. But to be honest, the way that I saw it happening was Ramondre Stevenson having a lot of success, looking like a bulldozer, catching screens, good blocking on the edges. That is how I envision this game for the Patriots. Just kind of milk clock, muck it up, score points, and focus on, create turnovers and just wreak havoc on their defense, the defensive end. But yeah, we're talking about this New England receiving room. So I am in a dynasty league that Ryan is the commissioner of, and I roster super deep lineups, and I roster DeMario Douglas, Kendrick Bourne, Tyquan Thornton, and Devonta Parker. Well, I just cut Devontae Parker this week.
I think someone just picked him up too recently, like right before the game started.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, John Wells.
Congrats, John Wells. That's. But anyway, so I have DeMario Douglas on my taxi. I was just like, I need the guy that produces for the Patriots. I don't know if we're gonna see the guy that produces for the Patriots.
No, I think to your point, like it should be Ramondre Stevenson. They should be
and Hunter Henry.
Yeah,
right?
They should be funneling it through those guys. I mean, they don't have outside playmakers.
Yeah. Yeah. So the other bet that I have exposure on tonight is it's not going well. Durham Smythe over 23.5 receiving yards. Again, going along with the game script that I said earlier, with Hill being the main focus of Belichick's defensive plan. Smythe had 7 targets last week. So cut that in half. Give me 4 targets, 23, 24 yards, I think is pretty manageable.
Yeah, especially in this Dolphins offense.
Yeah, so I just thought it was going to be one of those gross games where Tua was going to have to figure out to get yards, and a guy named Durham Smythe was going to be that person. I also thought that there's value in said Dolphins tight end, right? Like Smythe may become a name where we're like, oh, he's the Dolphins tight end. He's going to be a touchdown dependent, not Gesicki type role, but poor man's Gesicki will get a touchdown here and there, have a few catches a game. So I thought there was going to be some value in that. So far, he has 1 target, 1 catch, 6 yards. So I need, 19, 18 yards in the second half, which is, that can happen on 1 play. But certainly thought he would have more than 1 target. I think the Patriots drained a lot of clock, but I don't know. From what I'm seeing from the Dolphins, it's heavy Mostert, little bit of Ahmed, and then kind of what we thought with the receiving. I mean, Tyreek getting that touchdown's huge, but he's been contained. I don't know. What do you guys think there?
What's the since you've got the lines up, Brett, what's Berrios's line after the first half?
So I don't know what the live. I can look that up real quick. He's got 2 catches, 28 yards.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Box score. Yeah, he's
box
got
score line. Yeah,
3 targets, 2 catches, 28 yards. And then River. I don't even know how to say it. Craft.
Yeah.
River Craft.
Number 85. Yeah.
River Craft. Craycraft.
Craycraft. There you go.
Craycraft. River Craft. 2 targets, 2 catches, 34 yards, longest 22. So Craft is having a pretty day.
Crafty game.
River Craft is having a crafty game on the river. Yeah. Anyways, so yeah. What do you got to say, Shane?
That's what I was, that's what was kind of my point. It's like I saw it last week with Craft, and I've already seen it a little bit with Berrios. There's these guys that pop up, which makes your also kind of your bet a good one to take. Like it could easily be that tight end,
Well, so I thought Smythe was going to be like somewhat of a fixture, 3 for 45 every week. And the market hasn't caught on to it yet. We may see it in the second half, and I might look smart. But 7 targets is
it's not
as
nothing.
Ryan would say, it's not nothing. Yeah, exactly. 7 targets is a lot, right? So it was that something is working. Let's feed that a lot, or is it? This is someone who we're going to get involved because he's our tight end and he's on the field. I don't know. We're going to have to keep an eye on that, but
yeah.
Chiefs, Jags, gross game. Christian Kirk got involved. Love to see that.
Finally.
Yeah. Mahomes, quiet 300, 2 touchdowns, interception. Quiet though. If you're Mahomes after 2 games, you're a Mahomes owner. You're like, come on, man.
Yeah, I don't know what happened here with Mahomes.
If you're it's good. Like it's not putting you out of any games, but it's not winning you. And if you draft someone the first few weeks, there's a consistency aspect, but also like Mahomes is a guy you want, 40-point weeks from. Which you got out of Josh Allen today. I don't know. What do you think about what did you see there? Chiefs, Jags. I mean,
Well, Shane, did you happen to catch what happened to Ridley?
I
I
did.
didn't catch that.
So, yep. So he was in the back of the end zone. He tried to kind of toe tap a catch in right at the end of the game. And he ended up hitting the goalpost, the padded goalpost. His knee kind of crumpled when he hit it. And so, so he had that. That was when he went out. He went out a couple times earlier, just with minor things like cramps and stuff. But that was the more worrisome thing. Was at the end. It was when that knee kind of crumpled up against the goalpost on the catch that he didn't get his feet down in.
Yeah, that's concerning. So in this game, I had Tony over 2.5 receptions. I thought Andy Reid was just gonna try to get last week out of his memory as soon as possible. And on the second drive, he had 3 catches. So I read that correctly, but then he kind of went away. Sky Moore wasn't really involved, and then he had a big catch and touchdown. I don't know. To me, Chiefs offense all year, we're not going to see a guy break out. It's just going to be by game basis. Wide receiver room is just going to be scattered across the board, and then Kelsey's going to get his.
Yeah, it's Kelsey and the clan.
Pacheco had a huge run. Otherwise, his day was going to be really bad. I don't know if you caught on to that.
Yeah, it was until he broke it off. And
I think he had a 40-yard run or 50-yard run, maybe
31 yarder.
And 31. I think he only got 10 carries, maybe. I don't have the box score up, but
12, it wasn't 12, a lot. Yeah, 12 for 70.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I was about to text Ryan and be like, that Pacheco under is looking really good. I knew not to, because anytime that happens, you know what happens. I did it on Thursday night. We're playing against Jefferson. We had the opportunity to take Jefferson over Chase, number 101. We took Chase by, I pushed for that, and it's not looking great as of right now. But the guy was texting us, talking shit, and I had something queued up to Ryan. And then, of course, right when I text Ryan, he has his 2 biggest catches of the night, and then all this garbage time production. I'm like, all right, never mind.
Yeah.
In a bad game, he has 12 catches for 150 yards.
Yeah, it's what you should expect every week from Justin Jefferson. I mean, the guy's an animal, and it's even when you think he's having a bad game, give him the last 2 minutes in the game, and he'll end up turning around.
So real quick on the Jags Chiefs, the one thing I wanted to mention, I had seen a little report on Friday. It was that they expected Kirk to have a real bounce back game and be peppered with targets because he excels on man-to-man coverage, and that's what the Chiefs always do. So that just for everyone out there, that's maybe something to keep in mind, looking at who he's facing, if they're more man-to-man or if they're more zone. In week 1, defense he was facing was more zone. It could be something to factor in when you're, especially since Kirk is not that locked in starter maybe that we thought he was.
Yeah, so that is such a next level research. To be honest, I wouldn't be doing that type of research. I'd probably get it from a big brain like you or someone on the Ethos team that knows defenses that well, but that's next level, right? That's super deep analysis. So from just someone who has drafted Kirk and expects production out of them, but doesn't know defenses that way, what's our advice to them? Because you have one horrible game, 11 receptions, 110. That's an outstanding game in my mind.
Yeah,
I'm still starting Kirk in my flex because that's probably, I either went heavy running back or heavy maybe an Allen Andrews and ended up having to go Kirk as a wide receiver too. But I'm starting him, I think. What do you think?
I'm starting him too. This is what I was hoping to see from him. We saw last year he has a great connection with Lawrence, and I didn't think Ridley coming in was really just going to take all that away. So I was happy to see this, and it just gives me confidence moving forward. Because after week 1, it definitely was alarming, but I'm glad he had a get right game, and I feel like this could be a weekly thing where any week you could see Christian Kirk with the best receiving stats on the team.
Yeah, what do you think, Shane?
Yeah, I think it just, it might depend. If you're an owner who last week picked up Puka from the Rams, and if you're at
that was a good pickup, right?
if you're in a choice where you're going to be starting Puka or Kirk, each week, or there's another guy you picked up, I can't think of anyone else off the top of my head. Now I don't know. I hadn't seen afterwards. I also know Zay Jones kind of was in and out of that game.
Yeah.
I don't know if anything ended up materializing, but of course, if anything does happen with him, then he's right back to heavily targeted. But it just could be something to watch out as far as his targets week to week.
Yeah, and I think like we're gonna see a lot the next couple of weeks of how like different game scripts affects his production. But as of right now, if he's my flex guy, and I'm like, of course, in your flex, you're going to have to make a decision, but I'd be pretty confident starting Kirk still. Puka, you mentioned him. I mean, that's someone that I would probably, 15 catches for 147 yards. Like, Ryan, your audio's out. You're just on mute. It looks like I see you're muted on StreamYard.
Mike's good.
Oh,
there you
go. Good. Yeah. 20 targets, dude. 20
targets.
That is insane against the 49ers.
Yeah. I immediately was regretting like 2 series into that game that I did not put in enough fab in all my leagues for him.
I didn't put any.
Yeah, I wasn't able to get him in any league. I didn't have a high enough priority in certain leagues, or this is hard because Puka seems like such a great receiver, but as soon as if Cooper Kupp ever comes back, it's like, dude, what happens there? Like, how do you have? Yeah, he's the wide receiver too, but what type of production? Because you see,
I think he eats. I think he gets half of the targets, so 10, but he still gets 6 to 8 catches and 80 yards. And your start, that's touchdown dependent star. Like if you start a guy with 6 catches and 80 yards in your flex, 14 points. He's gonna be. I don't want to say top 30 wide receiver, but like.
Well, yeah. Think about the number 2s with the Rams when Stafford's been healthy.
Yeah, Robert Woods.
Robert Woods was great, and then when Odell came in the second half of his season, Van Jefferson even had some good games 2 years ago. You can have success as the number 2 there even if Cooper Kupp's 100%.
Stafford's a wizard, man. That's what we're seeing early on in this season.
He threw the ball 55 times against the 49ers.
Dude. 300 yards like it's nothing.
Yeah. Threw a couple picks, but that's what happens when you play the 49ers,
Yeah, so I think Tutu goes away a little bit. I think Van Jefferson, his role kind of disappears. He becomes like a poor man's KJ Osborne, in my mind, is what I would compare him to, right? Anyone that catches 15 balls for 147 against the Niners, is anyone else going to do that this year? Like,
yeah,
I don't think so.
Sometimes does it just also like come down to the eyeball test? He just looks the part, right?
Yeah, I base a lot of what I do off of eyeballs, too much probably, but Puka is a guy that I liked early on. We have some exposure in underdog because I've liked him. I immediately got him in in a lot of dynasty leagues. Unfortunately, he's on my taxi, so I can't use him all year in dynasty, but he was a guy that I was like, Van Jefferson did not step up, kind of like Gallup didn't as the wide receiver too in Dallas, but Van Jefferson didn't last year. That's either A, because last year was a disaster, or B, he's not good enough. And if it ends up being B, that wide receiver 2 role for Stafford, like you just talked about, Shane, is fucking good.
Yeah.
And if it ends up being Puka, give me that, right?
So we got a comment here from B Cork. He says, yeah, and McVay knows his running backs are trash. You just chuck and pray, baby. Yeah, but Kyron Williams had a decent game against the 49ers. Like,
yeah,
I mean, active in the passing game, 6
Gurley's
for 48
had some
and
good
a touchdown.
games.
Huh?
Gurley's had some good games in the past, remember? Like,
yeah.
Gurley was the first running back that McVay had.
Yeah. No, I think he's referring to this season.
No, I mean, even last season, though, remember, like, last season was a disaster. Let's throw that out. Year before, when they won the Super Bowl, it was, gosh, why can't I think of his name? Dreads. What's his name?
Wasn't Sony Michel there?
No, the guy with dreads who looks a lot like Ramondre. Shane, help me out. Henderson.
Oh yeah, Daryl Henderson.
Daryl Henderson. Yeah, Daryl Henderson. He would have some games where it's like, all right, definitely an RB2, but like some really good production just because they had such a good offense. So McVay's used running backs. It's just, I feel like in these last couple of years, he doesn't trust them because he wants elite catching ability, but he also wants elite pass protection. And that just doesn't exist with a lot,
Yeah. What about on the 49er side? Another big game from Christian McCaffrey. I mean, he does it early. This guy, like within the first quarter, he's like, boom, he's already got you. Yeah. So he was worth that first round pick, whoever grabbed him. You're happy there. Ayuk, kind of a quieter game from after
he was hurt.
week 1.
It's in and out.
He's hurt, man.
Yeah. 2 or 3 injuries. I mean, he would come back in and then he'd get dinged again.
Yeah. Fortunately, that was a game where I want to say could afford it, but it was a lot closer than people had. I think the Rams are kind of good, or just not as bad as last year, right? So there's going to be some value on them early, but Niners to me felt like they had that game from the start. Granted, like they had to play good football to win it, but yeah. So like, I think they kind of knew they could lean on Debo heavily, and Ayuk like got fed early and then got dinged up, and then it was like, let's kind of try this out, but not go too far and have an issue for weeks to come. I'm hoping at least. This is the 49ers. I don't think any of this should shock any of us, right?
Yeah. Deebo Samuel back in action in the rushing game too. Got a rushing touchdown, 5 for 38.
Just one of those things when he gets going, man. Kittle 3 for 30 with 3 targets. So I wouldn't be scared if I was a Kittle owner, but I would keep an eye out. I think this game was not very pass heavy in general. I don't know. I wrote about it in the article. I just think there's Smythe. Come on, baby.
Yeah.
I think about what I think about Kittle is he's getting older, and he is so essential to how the other people eat and blocking that his game gets a little more blocking focused. So I don't know. We'll find out. He's still such a great player that is going to make huge playmaking plays. But anyways,
how about the Seattle Detroit game? Shane, did you catch that game at all? I heard Montgomery got carted off. Did you see Montgomery? Did you see what happened?
So it's a double whammy. Yeah. So he got carted off. He also had like
the best play. The best play of the week by any player, period.
Touchdown reception called back from a penalty that was just amazing.
Dude, I was going to text you, Ryan, and then I saw it got called back, so I left it out. But it was the best play that anyone – it was such a good play that I didn't think it was Montgomery. I was like, who is this motherfucker? Dude, looked like someone on steroid. Like,
yeah,
I'm not going to accuse him of being on steroids, by the way. I didn't mean it like that, but
yeah. So did it comes out? Was it a thigh injury? Is that what I was reading?
Yeah. I didn't hear anything that it being too serious. It doesn't sound like, but
Okay.
I mean, it sounded, when it happened that it was, but
yeah.
let's see.
Yeah, well, Detroit kind of got the quieted down here in this matchup against Seattle. Seattle ended up winning in overtime. I mean, Kenneth Walker, a couple touchdowns. That's great to see.
Yeah, I'm going to look so far 2 weeks in. I'm taking the L on what I thought that backfield would be. I really thought it would be more of a
Sharp.
maybe 60-40, 60-40 split with Sharp getting some of the more goal line work, because Walker wasn't that great last year in goal line opportunities, but it's been all Walker mostly.
Yeah. So let's use this as a learning moment. All right. For all three of us. The preseason hype, the rookies are always like, oh, here we go. Right. Like Tank, same thing. Their roles are not that way to start the season. Will they change throughout the season? Yes, but only if Walker allows it to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Only if ETN, you saw him get injured, so Tank started getting some more carries today. But like those veterans that have proven to have success, it's their backfield.
I mean, his Walker's yards per carry wasn't great, right, Ryan? I mean, it wasn't very good.
Has it ever?
No, 17 for 43. No.
Yeah.
And he's never been that guy except for like a few huge carries, right? Like he always like has those big boom plays, but
yeah.
So over the course of the season, will we see that change? Probably, and then we'll be glad we drafted those guys and maybe not. I mean, early on in the season too, man, it's like I drafted Roschon in some leagues thinking stash because inevitably he's going to get some tick. And because of how bad the Bears are, sorry, Ryan, just awful dog shit Bears. You see him getting more opportunity.
Oh, there you go. Waddle.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Oh,
You're ahead of me.
You are ahead of me. So thank you. No, Shane, thank you for that. Cause then I could turn and watch the catch. So that was great.
You're good. But yeah, anyways, I did not expect to have Roschon like thinking about starting him. There you go. Thinking about starting him at this point in the season, but Roschon looks like the best back, and the Bears are going to have to figure something out quickly. Speaking of the Bears, I told Ryan that I was going to have some fireworks tonight here on this stream. I am ready to just completely renounce my Bears fandom.
As if he hasn't already.
If I haven't already. So that's not a huge thing. But what is a pretty huge thing? It's hard. I can't really say it. I think that I'm ready to renounce my Chicago Cubs fandom as well.
We're going to bring the Cubs into this? That's not necessary, Mike.
100 years of losing and how much emotional like investment I've had in them, and then they won in 2016, and then they didn't manage the dynasty that they had built correctly. I won. I'm good.
Yeah.
I feel really good. That's all I needed. I'm out. I'm an Astros fan.
Yeah.
So,
Mike
Chicago
likes to jump ship.
Chicago Blackhawks for life. I think I'm good on the Cubs and the Bears, though.
Fair.
Sorry, Ryan.
No, it's all right. I mean, the Cubs are losing right now in the 8th inning to the Diamondbacks, so that's fun.
Didn't they get swept by them 4-game sweep like last week?
Yeah.
And they're like one of the teams that are nipping at their heels.
Yeah, they're in the hunt.
Playoffs.
Yeah, they're in the hunt. Yeah. So
I know. I'm good on the Cubs as well.
Okay, enough baseball talk. It's Sunday Night Football. This is a football stream. We're not
Colts
going to dive too
Texans.
much into.
Anthony Richardson looked elite, but he can't stay on the field. What's going on, Shane? Tell me something.
Yeah, he's got that little bit of Josh Allen into him. Like, dude, you got to know not to slide, get out of bounds. Don't take all the unnecessary hits that you got.
Yeah, don't put your body in harm's way.
Yeah, you don't have to do that.
But he didn't. So, did you see the play he got hurt on, that touchdown?
Yeah, it was a touch. Yeah, his head hit back. Yeah,
he didn't get hit. It was he fell.
But if he would have been like Tua and learned jiu-jitsu and learned how to fall.
Yeah.
That's my point. Yeah. So he didn't, he snapped his head back. He didn't fall gracefully.
Yes.
Maybe this starts a trend for all these quarterbacks out there that all of a sudden they're all going to, in the off season, you see them all doing judo and jiu-jitsu and stuff.
No, I was more excited about, there was a guy in the Sports Ethos Discord asking about who to pick up a speculative ad ahead of the week. And, I told him, listen, go get Zach Moss. And he was like, it's not going to be Deion Jackson. I said, no, he was god awful last week. Zach Moss was, had good games to end of the year, and they want Zach Moss to be the starter there. And so I was glad to see him come through with a, pretty good game for his standards.
Yeah, Moss is a guy that I thought was going to be the alpha in that running back room, so good to see that. I have him in a lot of leagues. I think I started him in only one, but I don't know. Like, he's probably better off if Gardner Minshew's the quarterback, but I'm a guy that wants to see the best football and all the talent succeed, so I want to see Richardson be good. I want to see them not be good enough to where they can get Marvin Harrison Jr. and I don't. It's concerning, man. There's a block kick.
Big play.
That's the type of muck it up Patriots team I thought we were going to see tonight. Yeah. But yeah, that's concerning. What would his game would have been outstanding without?
Oh my God.
Would have been great. Really great.
Probably gets you another touchdown, another rushing touchdown. There was no sign of them being able to stop that run. So you continue to do that, right? Maybe one of the better rushing games. I don't want to say of all time because I don't like to be dramatic, but 2 touchdowns that early on very easy 20+ runs.
Yeah, he would have been a top 5 QB for sure for the week.
Oh, for the week, yes. I think one of the best rushing performances from
historic
a quarterback. Yeah, 2 in the first quarter, was it? Or maybe first couple quarters, but really early on, man, they couldn't stop it. You have to figure out a way to stay on the field if you're him and if you want to be a good football team with a quarterback like that, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyways, Texans, Nico Collins was great. We were all three of us.
Let's go, Nico.
I loved him.
I love that.
Stroud, 384. I didn't see that until just right now. 384 and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. Yeah.
0-2.
Tank Dell, 7 for 72 and 1. We heard it earlier in the week. They wanted to get Tank Dell more involved, and what happens?
I mean, he took over that slot role. So Noah Brown went on the IR, and so he's operating solely out of the slot where, that's a good place to be for a PPR guy.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. From how I like to typically roster teams, I like my flex to be a slot guy who gets 5 or 6 catches. I just want the 5 or 6 catches.
Yeah, that high floor.
Give me 50 yards out of that and give me 10 points. That's typically what I look for in a flex. Stroud wanted him and they connected and they seemed like they had a lot of fun doing it. That being said, Texans are bad. They played a bad team today. And from week to week, hopefully Nico is probably the one guy on that team that you can confidently start every week. But at this point, Pierce worries me.
Oh, terrible game. 15 for 31. Dog shit.
Yeah. And I think if you're holding on to him, you could probably drop Dalton Schultz for a streaming tight end week to week.
Yeah. Sam Laporta, if he's out there.
Yeah.
We talked Jets, Cowboys. I don't think we need to go there anymore. Giants, Cardinals. I don't really want to speak on this because I watched the game from a completely different lens, but Saquon injury looked concerning. I mean, that looked like he was hurt. I saw maybe before we press play that it was like a ankle sprain and it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
So that's best case scenario. But even if it's an ankle sprain, it seemed like a pretty bad one. What do you guys, I don't know. What did you see? What do you think?
Yeah. I even if it's a low ankle sprain, I don't know what the running back and the way that he cuts and stuff and does things. I just don't see them rolling him out next week and playing. I'd be surprised.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say a few weeks, right? 2 to 3 is probably 2 to 3 is optimistic. When I saw him go down, like I said, I was watching the game through an entirely different lens, but when I saw him go down, I was like,
whoa,
yeah, that's an injury.
Yeah.
I thought it was ACL or something along those lines, the way that he was like hobbling off.
Yeah, they're calling it a sprained ankle right now.
Yeah. So we've seen those as bad as, I don't know, 4 to 8 weeks, like depending on the situation, you know?
Yeah.
So that's
who's filling in for him? Is that Matt Breida then?
Breida or Eric Gray from OU.
Yeah, maybe a combination of both.
Breida and Gray. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. How about James Conner? Big game from James Conner, huh? I feel like nobody talks about James Conner.
No.
23 for 106 and a touchdown.
I'm going to get another beer while you guys talk this game because
I have to be honest, Ryan. Like I went into drafts and I wanted no part of James Conner. Like
you're not alone. I feel like nobody did. I feel like this whole offseason, everyone was swerving James Conner.
Yeah, I didn't want any part. I thought he was going to be pedestrian in a bad offense and a bad tanking team. And not only is he looks good too. Like I watched a lot of that game. He's running.
Yeah, when you're talking about the eye test.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, I own James Conner in that dynasty league that Mike was talking about earlier, and he was just someone that like I know he's going to get production. Like he's always active in the passing game. This week he wasn't, but he's also one of these guys that just has a stranglehold on this workload for running backs. I mean, like 23 carries. The next highest was 2 with Keontae Ingram. Like they feed him the ball and him and only him. So it's like, and the Cardinals through the first 2 weeks, they look better than I expected them to look.
Here's something though, right? So
yeah,
I think we can all agree this team's tanking, right? Both weeks they came out to demanding leads and should have won the game had they not been openly tanking. When you're a team that tanks, man, like coaches are like, all right, play ball. Halftime comes around, you have the lead. It's like, stop playing ball.
So at halftime, they're just like, all right, guys, great game. Let's just cut it down. Just, let's chill out.
Play calls get a lot different. Things that were working in the first half are no longer working. They were going to the tight ends. Ertz and McBride were working.
Yeah, another big game.
Middle of the field was exposed, and then what ended up happening is you were running the ball with Conner up the gut and then throwing these stupid passes out wide. Like, yeah, there is ways to completely change everything. And then when teams get momentum, especially someone as good as Barkley, and I mean Jones looked really good against a tanking team. I would like to see it happen against a team that's trying because he didn't in the first half. But so you're talking about Conner. I agree. You can have someone on a team like that who has that production and looks really good and eats well. Next 3 games: Cowboys, Niners, Bengals.
Oh my gosh. Sell high. Sell.
Yeah. If you can sell high on James Conner, do it. Absolutely.
Sell.
And those are home games against the Cowboys and the Bengals. So You're not going on the road against the Rams and Aaron Darnold and then at Seahawks, the 12th man, like that's their next 2 games. So, that's a huge chunk of the fantasy season. That's 5 weeks. I just don't feel good about a team that's not going to win any of those games. Hollywood luckily had a touchdown today and made him probably rosterable in a best ball standpoint, but Hollywood's not someone I'm putting in a starting roster, right?
No, he got 10 targets for
and then after
6
that,
for 54.
After that, you have Ravens and Browns.
Yeah.
It's just a slew of bad games.
There's somebody in your league, if you've got Connor, that probably needs some running back help, and we'll look at his first 2 weeks. You should be able to get rid of him.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
I agree.
I'm good on that game. If you guys have anything else or you want to move on.
Yeah, last game, Commanders Broncos.
Mike Cole's is lock of the week. He called it on Friday.
Wow,
that was my lock of the week. Broncos.
Yeah, you're like lock of the week.
Yeah,
Broncos to beat the Commanders.
Certainly looked that way in the first quarter. What happened? I don't know. I was so locked into the Giants game at that point that I don't know what happened, literally. So if you guys want to comment on this game, I don't have much to say. I mean, Mims had 2 huge catches. Wilson had a good box score game, quite a few good box score games, but what happened to the Broncos is my question.
Yeah, I don't really have an answer for you. They were up 21-3 in the second quarter. And then all of a sudden Washington goes and scores basically 3 touchdowns unanswered. So I don't know, you could say Sam Howell ends up playing out of his mind against a stout Denver defense.
Yeah, it was more than that though, because I saw something at the end of half that was horribly mismanaged. I was glancing at it on Red Zone, but I was locked into the Giants comeback. It was something crazy, like they kicked a field goal. Maybe there was a penalty because all of a sudden they're driving again. And then Logan Thomas caught a touchdown but got targeted. So I don't know what happened, but it seemed like just weird all around.
Yeah, they had a bunch of shooting themselves in the foot. Penalties. You had Wilson who unexpected. He fumbled the ball when he was going down. He almost dropped it and got picked up, and then he threw a bad interception to the rookie Forbes from Washington in the second half. And as good as he looked in the first half, he did not look as good in moments in the second.
Same exact thing that happened against the Raiders, right? I think his numbers were outstanding against the Raiders in the first half.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, he still ended up with over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, but it's just not the type of game you want to see from Russell and Sean Payton's new offense.
Payton gets better. Payton gets better as the year goes on, but you don't want to start 0-2 at home. I mean, that means they're on the road a lot coming up, and
at home against the Raiders and Commanders.
Yeah. Now you go Dolphins at Bears. So Bears is a guaranteed win. That team is dog shit. Versus Jets at home. Then you go to the Chiefs. Packers and Chiefs both at home at Bills. I mean, that's not easy. So I don't know. How did their defense give up 35 points? A lot of it just stinks for me.
Yeah, and what shocked me the most was like Washington could run on them, and I wasn't expecting that to happen at all.
I'm right there with you. I mean, we talked about it earlier. We didn't think Brian Robinson would be very good, and he's turning out and having some good games. So,
boys,
how about Marvin Mims?
Sorry, Mims, 2 big catches. Mims caught a touchdown, another big one on the sideline. Denver, to me, spreads the ball out too much. I would love Judy. I love his talent. Oh my God, Waddle. But anyways, yeah.
Did you see the end of that game, Mike? They Russell Wilson.
Catch,
the 50-yard Hail Mary that Johnson caught, Brandon Johnson in the end zone, and then they miss on the 2-point conversion.
Yeah, I don't want to relive it, so you guys talk about it if you want to, but there is, yeah. Anyways,
how about Javonte Williams? 12 carries, only 44 yards.
That was going to be my only other comment, is that he looked like a league winner when he had the ball. I can see him looking outstanding if that team progresses, and if they're winning games late in the season, he's going to be a league winner. That's all I have to say.
I didn't see them. I mean, they've got this. I can't remember his name. Who's the third running back they worked in, and he had a score today?
McLaughlin
Jaleel McLaughlin.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming either. Like, this could be a 3-man, committee situation maybe.
Yeah. I thought they'd be using Samaje Perine a lot more than they are.
Well, he was involved in the passing game 1. I don't know. We'll see what happens. That's a team that's going to be changing. You go to Miami, you should be able to have some offensive production, but who knows? That team has to get better. End of story.
Yeah.
But boys, let's wrap this up. We've been on it, grinding for an hour and a half. I think this has been awesome. Shane, I know we didn't intend on having you for this long, so thank you. So thank you for your time. I think you add, as always, an extremely good dynamic and perspective. And I mean, Ryan and I, we've been talking to each other for 20 plus years. We can certainly do it, but we appreciate having you on. So thank you for that. I want to watch this fourth quarter. Need one more catch from Waddle. Need 9 yards from Smythe. Enjoy your beer, Shane. Ryan, you're probably fucking grinding the road tomorrow. So
back
do
on the
whatever
road
you
tomorrow.
got to jerk off, get some sleep, and
okay. All right. Well, thank you for joining in on another episode of Fantasy Roadshow. We appreciate you guys listening, watching, liking, subscribing. Remember to follow the show at Fantasy Roadshow. Check out the Substack. Check all of our Twitters out. All of our handles are in the graphics here. And above all, have a great night.
Shane, any final thoughts, Shane?
Buckle up.